She said that it was a joke. She said that it was a.
What type of joke was this? That ain't no joke. What's the vibe, guys? This is Mistervalid, and today we're back at it again with some LadBible Storytime reactions. Last time we had Gareth. If you haven't checked it out, please do. Today we have this story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. And now, let's listen.
She had £18,000 in baby milk tins wrapped up in duct tape, hidden in her house, ready for what? Ready for this guy to put a brick across the back of my head. That's when it got really scary.
What was your upbringing like?
I was an academic child. I did what I was told. I was happy to work hard, trying to make the most of things. I think trying to make my parents proud of me. University was great. I really made the most of certainly of the first year. It was.
I'm not gonna lie, university is great, but sometimes, man, these assignments, projects, it's a little too much, especially those 4-year programs. Man, any students right now, like, let me know your experience. I'm in uni right now, and trust me, man, it ain't easy. It ain't easy.
I took the opportunity to be a completely different person. Come the second year, that's when I met Victoria. Things started off really well.
When you first met Victoria, why were you drawn to her? What was she like?
She was bubbly, enthusiastic. She was really exciting. She represented somebody who was interesting and interested. She was very interested in me, and things started to get very intense very quickly. It was intense. It was a new relationship. We were in each other's pockets. As it went on and that continued, there was no...
That's what I observed. If you go check the last story we looked at with Gareth, he said something similar when he spoke about his ex. It was always quick, you know, very quick, instant. Things were going fast paced. So I could see a few similarities. I don't know that we could identify this as a red flag, but let's continue to see.
There's no let up. It didn't stop being that. By the end of the second year, it was that times 100. It had moved from being around each other all the time to being around each other with nobody else all the time. There were people who said to me, "Are you sure things are things okay?" But it's very difficult for me, I think for men and young men in particular, to say, no, it's not okay. I don't like it. At the time, I didn't know what an abusive relationship looked like for me. I recognize now that that's what it was, in the way in which there was, I was controlled, in the way in which I was maneuvered, manipulated.
That's how I feel it was. That's also similar to what happened to Gareth. Um, his ex in the beginning tried to pull him away from his family, his friends, that sense of isolation. Because don't forget, when you're isolated and you're always with this one person, if you don't already have experience, it will be easy for you to be manipulated. you know, I don't want to talk too much, so I'm gonna let him speak.
The term coercive control didn't exist. Um, Certainly not for me. I didn't know what that was, and whether or not why that would even be applicable to me. The way in which things were created to be my opinion. I didn't have an opinion other than our opinion. I didn't make any decisions. It was very difficult to, and that's very difficult to explain, because when I met people, I was making decisions all the time, but those decisions were always couched with, well, what would Victoria prefer me to do? What does she want me to do? I stayed after university for another year while she finished her course, and we moved in to a separate house together. And that gave us a reason not to see anybody, almost. And I couldn't go anywhere without first making sure that she was happy for me to go. Or
So no one from the family called you. The fact that you were isolated for that long. No one called for a wellness check. Hmm.
for us both to go. And that kind of total control was certainly something that became part and parcel of who I was, and who we were as a couple.
So she was insisting that it would just be you two. It was all on her terms.
There was always a reason. There was always a justification. You know, if I loved her, then why do we need to go out? You know, what's the point? She was my life. She was my reason. And that's what she wanted. Every single step is a small step. Every single move is entirely reasonable. It's, you know, going to college, going to university, going to work, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you realize that's all you're doing. You're going to work and then coming home and not doing anything else. There is no social life. There is no reason to do anything or be anywhere other than with her. And so again, it was one of those small, incremental, logical steps. We were together, we were married, then we have kids. So I was 26 when my daughter was born, and all of a sudden, you know, Victoria got pushed to second place, and she didn't like that.
How long?
So she was competing against her own daughter? When the baby is there, like, the baby's supposed to be the main priority. So now she's angry that your attention is going towards the baby? If she wanted your attention 100%, why did she have a baby? Hmm.
How long were you in this relationship with Victoria?
In total, so we met in 1999, and I separated after my daughter was about 1.5, so about 2007, middle of 2007, towards the end of 2007.
So once.
So 8 years. You've endured that for 8 years. I'm telling you, man, like, people go through stuff. You may be walking outside, enjoying the breeze, passing couples, smiling and all that, not knowing that one of these couples that are smiling Once they go back home, it's a whole nother story, man. You never know what someone is going through. 8 years. Wow.
Once you decided to leave the relationship, how did Victoria immediately respond?
For a short time, everything was okay. In the same way that everything was okay when we got together. It didn't last long because I left, and she was very angry about that, and she perhaps wanted to exact some level of punishment, some level of re-establish some level of control. Things started to ramp up. I started getting requests which were more and more extreme. I would be asked to travel 2 hours on the drop of a hat in order to see my daughter.
Oh, man. She's playing one of these games. You see it a lot with people, especially those that co-parent. Most of most of them are like petty, you know, traveling 2 hours just to see your daughter, and you know that as soon as you arrive there, something will happen, an argument will happen. The daughter sees it, and then it doesn't only affect the parents, it also affects the kid. Don't forget about the kids. They see that. You may think that they don't understand, but they know when something is wrong. They observe, and that's how early trauma starts. Seeing both your parents fight. That's why, like, before having a kid, make sure to have a long conversation with your partner just to make sure that you guys are ready. Before having a kid, if you see any red flags with your significant other, either talk to her or talk to someone about it before having a kid. Because once that kid comes, it's going to be a whole nother story, man.
For a day and then bring her back. Or plans would change halfway through that and say, well, now she's no longer there, she's here. Um, I would be shut out from various decisions. I had to make a decision that
I'm confused. When you divorce someone, right? Aren't you guys supposed to negotiate on who's gonna take like the time on who's gonna have the child? Maybe the mother is gonna have it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the dad has will have the child Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Like, how did that go? Because if there was already an agreement through the court and she went against that, can you file a complaint? Hmm.
had to put everything else second and put her and put my daughter first. And that's what I did. That's the point at which everything started to go wrong. Victoria was remarried. Her husband, she had told him that I had hurt her. She had let him know in no uncertain terms how dangerous I was. I think his what he did next was naive and a shame. He attacked my car and set fire to my car and set.
A man did this that wasn't involved in the situation. She got remarried. Madam, you moved on. You have a whole nother husband. Go, move on. And why is your husband causing damage, setting fires in cars and houses? What will that? How will that fix the situation? He's still being punished. Madam, you moved on. Let him be. Now you're causing all these damages for what? What are you going to gain from that punishment?
Fire to my house. And so what he did was wrong. And what he did put my life and the life of my family in danger. But the decision that got him to that place was exactly the same decision process that she had perfected on me.
And with Wayne, he attacked your house. How did he get caught for that, and how come she didn't end up in prison for that?
They were both arrested. She was released without charge. She wasn't there. She couldn't be placed.
But she orchestrated it. She do play a part in it. She said certain things that instigated that type of behavior. So I personally think that she's involved in a certain way. I don't know. What do you guys think? The justice system, man. Even in the UK, you're not safe, bro. Over here in America, like, I'm in Canada, but like, I hear, like, over here, man, like, the justice system is not fair at all. There's a lot of biases and things going on behind the scenes, man. Y'all just have to watch out, man.
And of course, the other thing is that Wayne never described that she was connected in any way. He denied even doing it himself. He was convicted of it, but he pled not guilty, and as a result, the police didn't and couldn't connect Victoria to it. There was several pieces of evidence that connected Wayne, not least a recording, a 999 recording, that connected him to the case.
Following the attack of Rob house and car, Victoria tried to convince other men to kill him. Victoria, like, leave that man alone. Victoria, listen. I understand the stress for you to seek revenge, but think about it for a minute. If you kill Rob, you're going to jail. Man,
So she tried to persuade a series of men to murder you, essentially. Like, what was her rationale and how was she persuading them?
The modus operandi was always the same. To paint me as a person, as a terrible human being, as worthy of punishment, as worthy of being dealt with. Victoria was able to move and manipulate relationships and conversations and friendships incredibly easily, depending on the type of people that she spoke to, varying degrees of success. Thankfully, for me, some of these guys, of course, said that they didn't want to have any part of it, and some were more open to the suggestion. Once these guys had said no, then she moved on and found somebody else who would be.
So there's someone out there that's ready to risk his life. Maybe even doing life in prison. I don't know if you guys have this in the UK. Someone out there is ready to end someone else's life. Someone that they don't even know. Mind you, Victoria remarried. Like, you hear these stories in movies, Netflix series, but there's actually people out there that go through this. As we speak right now, someone is going through this.
Who she thought might be willing to do it, and that's how we moved on through. In the end, it was five guys.
5 guys. She recruited 5 guys. Bro. And this whole time, this man didn't even know. He was living a regular life with the daughter. This whole time, didn't even know, this man didn't even know his wife was plotting to end his life.
That I am aware of.
Look at this woman. That's her. Guys, man. Make sure, I know in this society is weak to speak to someone about your problems. But if you're going through something like this, man, there is a lot of organizations out there that are ready to help you. They are ready to bring you in and help you find a solution to your problem. especially men that go through domestic violence. Because we hear a lot of stories about women going through it. And it's true, they go through a lot. But we barely speak about the men. What do they say? Man up. This whole time, this woman had a 24-minute conversation with a drug dealer on how to end Rob's life. Now look at her face. Smashing a brick across his head and kicking him to death. Don't you can't you just imagine the level of hatred you would need to have in order to stone someone to death? Smashing a brick across someone's head. And now I'm thinking like, did she do all of that just to gain full custody of the daughter? I'm so curious. Why did she want to kill Rob so bad?
The way in which Victoria was recorded by talking to somebody who, by all accounts, seemed to be far more professional, certainly purported to be more professional than any of the other guys that she had spoken to. Prices were discussed, methods were discussed. That recording was then put to trial. She pleaded not guilty. She said that it was a joke. She said that it was a...
What type of joke was this? That ain't no joke. Madam, 24 minutes? You were spitting details, details, details. That ain't no joke. I swear, if she is not in jail, man, I'm ending this video, bro.
A way in which to let off steam against an old ex. And in abusive relationships, which I now recognize mine was, it's always the pattern that gives it away. And her pattern was this. It wasn't one joke. It wasn't one thing. It was this sustained series of actions, the series of intentions that took us to a point where she had £18,000 in baby milk tins wrapped up in duct tape, hidden in her house. Ready for what?
And how much was that? Because I know the economy, man, right now, prices be increasing. Like, how much was that for her to buy all this? And where did she hide it?
ready for this guy to put a brick across the back of my head. That's when it got really scary. The trial was 2 weeks of very difficult events. I was expecting to be called to give evidence, but I wasn't. I was really surprised that actually the defense took my statement and just agreed. Finally, at last, someone believed me. Someone could stand up and say, yes, that happened, and it happened to you. That was an incredibly fulfilling feeling. It meant probably more than almost anything else. Okay, I was an extreme example, but I wasn't the only example. There are lots of aspects of my story that are applicable to lots of different men, women, reaching those people, reaching those guys, reaching the guys who don't think that they're in that kind of difficult relationship. Recognition that it is a problem is one step. It's difficult to ask for help, and finding someone who you trust to ask for help.
That's true. Especially for a man, like, I also have that problem on trusting people, man. Because I've been done dirty in the past. But what Rob just said is true. It's not easy to ask for help. Regarding my statement earlier, like, just ask for help, like, I'm rethinking it, and it's not easy. It actually takes courage to ask for help. Because as a man, like, we kept on being repeated, like, yo, man up, man up, man up, deal with your problem. And asking for help is kind of seen in this society as being weak. But that mindset needs to change, because if you don't ask for help, man, you're going to be stuck there. And you're just going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse until you do something that you regret. I'm happy that Rob was strong enough to ask for help, because a lot aren't. And you hear these horror stories that comes after when they don't.
But there are more and more people out there, connections, that can help. Talk to anyone. Talk to the people at the bus stop. Talk to friends, family, anybody. But talk to somebody.
In 2020, Victoria was found guilty of 3 counts of conspiracy to murder and jailed for 9.5 years only. She recruited 5 hitmen, had the details, the plans, the blueprint to end Rob's life, and only got 9.5 years. What happens if she gets out? There's a lot I want to say right now, but in this channel, we promote peace. So I'm gonna calm myself down, take my ball right here, and press play.
How do you feel towards Victoria now?
I feel that she has wasted so much opportunity. I'm not going to give her the control and the power to keep on affecting me and our life in the way that she was for a very long time. We have made a beautiful young lady who is looking at the rest of her life with anticipation, with excitement. And it is a wasted opportunity, a shame that she has missed that. And that is something that she has to live with. That's her life sentence.
Rob, I'm happy that you're still standing with us. I'm happy that you shared your story. Guys, we gotta change our mindset, man. Guys and women too. If you are ever in similar situations, please speak to someone about it. If you don't trust anyone, go to an organization. If you don't have family or friends that you trust with these type of situations, go to organizations that help. There's a lot out there. I cannot cite some right now because I don't have that information, but do your research and there is one everywhere. This was a much serious video. I learned a lot and I hope you learned too. This is Mr. Valid and we're out.